welcome to my kitchen. It's Luann Pygott. I'm going to be doing something different today, sort of. I'm making my pineapple upside down cake recipe, but I'm not putting pineapple. I'm just going to make the cake. So every time I make this cake, by the way, this is my grandmother's cake recipe, my dad's mother's. Every time I make it, my mother asks me the same question again. Have you ever made that cake without the pineapple part? Just made the cake? No, I haven't. So I'm going to make it, and maybe she will be happy. I'm going to make the pineapple upside down cake without the pineapple part. Just going to be vanilla cake. So let's try. Okay, so first what we need, because normally you put pineapple and brown sugar and stuff on the top, but we're just not going to put that topping. I'm going to put icing on this cake when I am done. Hi, Jody, how are you doing? So I'm making the pineapple upside down cake part of the cake without the pineapple. So basically it's going to be vanilla cake. But we're just going to try this cake recipe as the vanilla cake. So I am going to use a stick of butter and a cup of sugar. So here's a stick of butter in our bowl. I saw the cake that you made with the, what is her name? Sally, the character Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas or something, whatever it was. That was so good. That was so neat. I could not believe how good that was. Okay, so mine's not going to have anything fancy. You're so glad to be watching this tonight, you one tired baker. I'll bet you are. Did you just make that? Oh my goodness. I don't know how you managed that. So much. Okay, so I'm going to do a cup of sugar. This is going to be a simple cake. You'll probably be glad. Nice, simple cake. This is my grandmother's recipe, so I think it's a real old recipe. So we're going to take a stick of butter. We're going to have a cup of sugar. And instead of putting the pineapple upside down stuff on it, I'm just going to put icing on it. And we're going to see how that goes. So we're going to add a cup of sugar. And we're going to mix those together. Then we're going to add 2 eggs. My cats are about half an hour from their dinner time and they're stalking me. Oh, her name is Emily. Oh, I couldn't remember her name. Well, I was close. It's the same last letter. The same last 2 letters. It was Emily. Okay. I think I've watched that one time years and years and years ago. I didn't quite remember her name. Okay, here we go. Egg number 1. Egg number 2. There we go. I'm telling you, you are really a good artist to be able to do that. It's so amazing. Okay, so then we're going to add, this doesn't give you a weight, it just says add other ingredients. Doesn't really give you a direction on how to do it, so we're going to do it my way. Okay, then we're going to do a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to do it how other cake recipes tell you to do it. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I always use real vanilla. I don't like artificial vanilla. It's bitter. Okay. Stir that one in. Then I'm going to add, let's get this little bowl. I'm going to mix, let's see, what do we have? So this really kind of makes one big cake layer. I'm going to add 1.5 cups of flour. So what it does is it fits in to a skillet. You actually bake it in a skillet, because if it was a pineapple upside down cake, you bake it in a skillet. Okay, this is a 3/4 cup measuring cup, and 2 of these is a 1.5 cups. So I'm going to take a whisk, and instead of sifting the flour, I whisk it, because it does the same thing. It lightens the flour so it's not packed in the container. So it basically lightens it up. And it's a lot faster and easier and not messy. So let's do 3/4 cup. And let it lightly get in there, sort of. And, oh, I'm putting it in this bowl. There. Okay, that's a 1.5 cups of flour. And then we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Okay, here's our baking powder. Let me get my teaspoon thing here. This actually has a 2 teaspoon measure on here. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Just that one. Okay. And I'm going to whisk that together. This is usually what I do when an old recipe or something I have doesn't give me directions. I go by the standard way of making cakes, where you add 1/3 of the dry ingredients and then half of the wet, then another 1/3 of the dry, and then the other half of the wet, and then the final 1/3 of the dry. So you go dry, wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry. Okay, so our wet is a 1/2 cup of milk. So let me get my 1/2 cup measuring, or it's my measuring cup here. You can see that. All right, let's turn it around. We're going to go 1/2 cup of milk. And this is just whole milk. Okay, there we go. And this won't take very long to mix this. There's my cat again. She's stalking me again. All right, she wants her dinner. But she usually gets it at 11 o'clock, and it's early. She doesn't care. She wants it now. Let me get these out of the way. Okay, so we're going to add about a third of this, guess, into the mix. Mix that in. Then we're going to add half the liquid, which is half the milk. Then we're going to add another 1/3 of the flour mixture. Okay, the rest of the milk. And then the rest of the flour mix. There we go. Finish it off. Such a good time at the tea today. It was so nice. Okay, there we are. Look at there. Cake batter. That looks so good. It really makes a yummy cake. Now, this is where we get different, because when you make a pineapple upside down cake, which I'm not making pineapple upside down cake, I'm not using the pineapple. When you make that, hi, how are you doing? You put it in a skillet and bake it in the oven. So you melt your butter and you put your pineapple and your brown sugar in there. But I'm not putting the pineapple, the brown sugar, the butter. I'm not doing the topping. I'm just doing the cake. But I still think I make it in the skillet. I've never done it this way before without the topping. I'm still going to make it in the skillet. So let's see what happens. Let's hope it's good. I'm taking batter off the beater. And I'm going to try this. I'm still put it in that pan. And then we're going to bake it at 350 for 30 to 45 minutes, it says. I wonder if it will bake faster because there's no pineapple, butter, and brown sugar there. It might. And then I'm going to ice it with probably my yummy chocolate icing. Because I have not had like a vanilla cake with chocolate icing in a long time. Okay, there we go. Oh, there's my little cat. She was sneaking up behind me. Your dinner will be next. Godiva. She's looking at me like, are you coming? No, I'm not coming. Not yet. I'm not coming yet. Those cats can tell better time than old Big Ben clock, I think. They know when it is time. It's like to the minute. They're like, oh, it's time for us to eat. Now, they don't actually eat. They start getting anxious about it before it's time to eat, but it's like exactly half an hour before every day. 10:30, they're going crazy. Like, how do they know it's 10:30? How do they know? Because sometimes I'm doing something and sometimes I'm not, so it's not me. Them little stinkers. They're like, it is time for us to eat right now. Okay, here we go. Cake in this cast iron skillet. Let's hope and pray it doesn't burn since there's no topping under there. We're about to find out. This may, like I say, take the least amount of baking time. Who knows? Hi, Mary. How are you doing? Okay, so I got my oven on. 350. So my dad has this story. When he was a kid, my dad was one of 7 kids, and Grandma did most of the cooking. Although my grandfather was able to cook, but she usually cooked. He was a farmer, and he had an ice route. He was a farmer. He did all kind of stuff, so he was always busy. So she did most of the cooking. Well, one time she was out of town. It might have been her youngest daughter was not well, and she took her out of town, like out of state one time to go see a specialist, and that might have been what it was. But no, she wasn't home, so my grandfather decided to do the cooking, and he could cook stuff, but I don't think he'd ever made a cake before. And he had at least had the other 6 kids at home to cook for, and he's like, I'm gonna make a cake. And my dad was young, and my grandfather had never made a cake, and he saw how my grandmother did most of her cooking, and she would just throw things together. Because most cooking, can't do that with cakes though, but most cooking you can do that with, just kind of mix ingredients together. And so that's what he was doing. He was cooking dinner and just throwing stuff together, and he said, well, I think I can make a cake. And he made some cake, he just mixed stuff together. Dad said he probably had a ton of flour in it. And he put it in a skillet and put it on top of the stove. My dad said he went to him and said, I don't think you bake a cake on top of the stove. I think that's got to go in the oven. He said my grandfather is like, no, it's all the same. You can bake it on top of the stove. And he's like, I don't think Mom's ever done that. He said when he got done cooking it, it weighed about 100 pounds. Nobody could eat it. He didn't try to make a cake again. But he could cook other stuff. But he's like, no, we couldn't eat that cake. Thought that was so funny. He just thought it, oh, that's the same as everything else. He goes, no, he wasn't. Okay, we're going to set this for 30 minutes, and then we will see how it comes out. 30 to 45. And then after it cools, I will make some icing. So thank you all for joining me, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.